Hello and welcome back to another fantasy football video. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be looking ahead to the double game week 34. Looking at the potential strategies, discussing minuses, looking at popular players that you can potentially take out, and then also looking at players that good options that can also be brought in. If you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, and let's get straight on into this one. Here are the fixtures for the doubling teams going into game week 34. Now, straight away, I'm going to highlight West Ham. They play away to Crystal Palace and away to Manchester City. Manchester City, a side that are currently gunning for the league title. Still yet to see how that Arsenal game goes. Looking forward to that one. And then playing away to a Crystal Palace side that have been somewhat rejuvenated under Roy Hodgson. Took a little bit of a slip against Wolves, but still a tough fixture. So generally, I would say avoid for West Ham assets. If you already have a West Ham asset, then you can go and play them through the double game week, but I wouldn't be targeting them to bring them in. Now, personally, I am a bit of a sucker for a home fixture. And as you can see here, Brighton and Liverpool both do have two home fixtures in the double game week 34. And arguably, Liverpool have got the best fixtures of the lot, playing against a Spurs side who absolutely capitulated against Newcastle at the weekend, losing 6-1. And then playing against a Fulham side who have been struggling to score goals and also struggling to keep goals out in recent games so far. And so it bodes quite well for both attacking and defensive options for Liverpool. Then we move on to Manchester City, playing against Fulham away from home. Arguably for City, no game is an away game because their form has just been so good this season that it doesn't really matter whether they're away from home or at home. I believe their form at home has been slightly better, but still, it's Manchester City. They're going to do well either way. And then Manchester United actually do have some tough fixtures, playing against Aston Villa and Brighton, two teams that have been on quite good form of late. Now, there's going to be potential rotations across each of these teams, and that's something we're going to have to build into our strategy heading into game week 34. But one big question that normally comes out of normally leading up to the double game weeks is around whether we should be taking minuses. So you can take minuses going into the double game week, obviously, and technically people will argue that they are a -2 because of the playing points that you get, the additional 2 points that you get for that extra fixture. Now, I would be wary of saying this because defenders especially have more avenue to minus points. So, for example, if they get a minus, if they concede 2 goals, they get another minus point. So, therefore, you'd actually be taking a -3. And then if they get a yellow card on top of that, actually, you've then gone and taken a -4. If you are planning on bringing a player in for a minus to captain them, I would say that is well worth it. The captaincy points, just for them playing, is well worth you bring them in. So, I would say that is a reasonable strategy. Obviously, the options that you have are just no minuses at all. Use your free transfer, -4, -8, -12, and beyond. I would say for me, above -8, you're looking at playing a very risky game. I know we see, week in, week out, especially for the double game weeks, people that have taken -12, -16s, some people maybe even a -20, and it goes really well for them. What you don't see is the umpteen amount of people that have done the same strategy and it has gone awfully wrong for them. So I would try to avoid generally taking minuses, but for a double game week, it is worth it. But it does beg the question, are certain players worth actually taking minuses for? So firstly, a very popular player that is potentially going to be in a lot of people's chopping block for game week 34 is Harry Kane. Now, a popular move this week could be Kane to Jota. On a free hit, yes, 100% go for it. You're taking out a single game week player for a player that has a double game week and a very good double game week at that. -4, it gets a little bit tricky because after the double game week, Kane has really nice fixtures for the back end of the season. And I would argue from game week 35 to 38, Kane is going to outscore Jota. But in this game week, Jota will most likely outscore Kane. Whether it's going to be greater than 4 points, arguably, probably. And another thing, I guess, also to consider is if you're bringing in Jota and then plan on potentially bringing in Isaac later down the line, then it could be worth it. One thing you could do, though, is take out both Kane and Saka and bring in Jota and Salah. And for this, I would definitely say that a minus is well worth it. I think Salah is going to be an absolutely fantastic option going into the double game week. And if going from Kane down to Jota allows you to free up the funds to go from Saka to Salah, then for me, this is well worth the -4. It gives you 2 extra fixtures there, and yeah, I think that this is a fantastic option if you can do it. Another player that people are potentially thinking of getting rid of is Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa. He's been on really good form of late, but it could well be time to let him go. Coming at 7.8 million, he is 1 million less than Diogo Jota of Liverpool. So if you can afford this move, then I think it's good. Another option is to go for Watkins to Enciso, starting for Brighton tonight against Nottingham Forest. If he scores, I think a lot of people will be potentially looking at getting him in because Watkins to Enciso could allow for a similar move, Saka to Salah. I think obviously Watkins has been on really good form, but post game week 34, you're probably going to be looking at getting rid of him anyway. Game week 35, he does have a decent fixture against Wolves, but then after that, coming into game week 36, this position of this kind of price bracket of attacker, most likely you're going to be looking towards going for Isaac because he does have that double game week fixture, as mentioned. So I think that the move to Jota does make sense. Is he worth a minus this week? I'd argue more than just the sole Kane to Jota move, because I feel like Kane to Jota is quite a bit of a downgrade, especially post game week 34. Whereas post game week 34 for Jota looks a little bit better than Watkins, and it also gives you that spot that you can potentially move that player on a bit more comfortably in the future. Then in terms of midfield options, a lot of people may be looking towards getting rid of Saka. Personally, I've already gotten rid of him from my team. Just a bit surplus to requirements. At 8.4 million, there's a bit of a chunk of cash there as well that you can free up if you go down to, say, the likes of Grealish. But you could also upgrade to, say, the likes of Bruno Fernandes. Now, Fernandes has picked up a bit of an injury of late, and we're yet to see whether he is actually going to start going into in this game week, in game week 33. But if he does, I actually arguably think that he is better than Jack Grealish for the double, even though Man United have got worse fixtures. Bruno's looked really, really attacking of late. He's pushed back into that attacking midfielder spot now that Casemiro is back in the team. And yes, he hasn't been getting returns, and people are being really, really frustrated with that. But he's got the upside that he's going to be playing in both double game weeks, most likely, obviously, if he doesn't get injured. Whereas Jack Grealish, especially now that he's playing against Arsenal in the midweek fixture, could quite easily get benched for one of these 2 fixtures. And with the UCL commitments that Manchester City have going on forward, and so on, there's going to definitely be rotation in that Manchester City squad. Also, we have to think with these transfers, okay, subjectively, they are good for game week 34. But are they good post-game week 34? We don't want to get too tunnel vision on the double game week. And Bruno Fernandes post-game week 34 looks really, really good. He's got another double game week after that. So does Jack Grealish and Manchester City. But Bruno Fernandes' fixtures around that are really good. And if he's fit, he's going to be playing week in, week out. So I think for the rest of the season, Bruno Fernandes looks like the better option than Jack Grealish, which is why in this scenario, I probably would go for Fernandes over Grealish. We've taken a look here at the players that, I think we should get rid of, and some players you could potentially bring in. But there are also other players that you could potentially bring in as well. So let's take a look at those. So we've got 3 other options here. We've got De Bruyne, Ederson, and Trent Alexander Arnold, out of the three, Trent, I think, is far superior than the other two. Not in terms of necessarily playing ability, but in terms of as an option going into the double game week 34. He's moved into midfield, and as many people will have already discussed, that has given him much greater attacking output, picking up 4 attacking returns in the last 3 games. And if he does keep a clean sheet, then he is due to haul. Playing 2 home games across the double game weeks, looks reasonably, or has a decent potential, I would say, of picking up a clean sheet. And if he picks up a clean sheet and in the other game picks up an attack and return, we could be looking at a double-digit haul. We then also have Edison of Manchester City. Now, a lot of people will probably be looking towards a Manchester City defender for the double game week, and Edison is the obvious one for me. Now, is he worth a -4? I think it just depends who you have in goal for the rest of the season. If it's a goalkeeper, maybe like Raya, Kepa, then you could argue yes for Raya, because Edison does have 2 double game weeks. Although personally, I fell into that trap earlier on in the season. And who was it? I think it was Kepa, ended up doing much better than Edison across that period. So that was quite frustrating. Although coming into this game week, Raya and Brentford haven't really been keeping clean sheets. So I would actually say I'd be willing to take a punt on a -4 for Raya to Edison for this game week. And then finally, you have Kevin De Bruyne. Funny that a 12.1 million, arguably more of a rotation risk of late than Jack Grealish. But he has been playing, and he has been playing well. I'm expecting him to absolutely haul against Arsenal tonight. We'll see whether that does actually happen. And I think if he does, a lot of people are going to be trying to get him in for this double game week. And I think that De Bruyne could be a really good differential going into this double game week. If he plays both games, he could absolutely smash it. And because there has been a big focus around many people trying to get Salah in, it has meant that their funds haven't been sifted around in such a way that they can also afford De Bruyne. Now, in order to afford De Bruyne, you probably will have to be going for Enciso of Brighton rather than Jota of Liverpool, or one of the Brighton midfielders instead of someone a little bit more expensive like Bruno Fernandes. But De Bruyne could be well worth a punt going. I mean, I say De Bruyne is a punt. De Bruyne is not really a punt. He's one of the highest scoring midfielders in the game. It just seems that he hasn't really been in our team so far this season, so it does actually feel like a bit of a punt. And quickly coming back to Trent, is he worth a -4? I would say arguably yes. Coming into this double game week, I think he's going to do really well, and also has good fixtures going towards the back end of the season. He's not as much of a rotation risk as, say, the likes of Diogo Jota, which is why I'm a little bit more apprehensive of taking a direct minus for Jota, whereas Trent, I think just massive haul potential, and so a minus for him. I would go for it, to be honest. I would go for it. So this has been a quick video taking a look ahead to the double game week 34. Do let me know down in the comments any players that you are thinking of bringing in. Please hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy the content. It really does help me out. Hit the like button as well, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.